Well, the quarterfinal picture is complete and Roland Garros keeps rewarding the brave. Day 9 gave us more opportunities seized. A Polish fairy tale rolled on. Aryna Sabalenka tightened her grip on favouritism in the women's draw, while the Italian men had a Paris party overnight. Felix Auger-Aliassime kept the very minimal top seed energy alive and rolling. And suddenly these draws are not just open, they are begging someone to take control in the final 8. Welcome back to your French Open Daily Dose. And before we get into today's episode, as always, if you're riding us along all the way to the final, make sure you like the video, hit subscribe on the channel as well, and get involved in the comments and let us know who's going to take it out from the final 8. Tip us an upset. Let us know who your surprise packet's going to be from here. Could it be someone like a Maja Swiatek, Matteo Arnaldi, or maybe Matteo Berrettini, the experienced man? Because the first week has already torn the draw apart. Now, the second week is asking who actually wants to stamp their name on it. Let's start with Aussie Watch, and Ellen Perez keeps the Aussie flag flying. Ellen Perez and Demi Scherz are through after a tough 3-set win in the third round. Does keep Perez alive as Australia's last remaining main draw hope after they beat the pair, including Beatrice Haddad-Maia, 6-3, 2-6, 6-4. It wasn't straightforward, but this stage of the slam, you do not need pretty. You just need to keep on, keeping on, and getting through. The Aussie singles story is done, but Perez alive in the doubles, and she's now the only one carrying the green and gold flag in the main draw. It was also a tough day for our juniors as Renee Alame was eliminated 6-love, 6-1, comprehensive loss to the Spanish 9th seed. Still valuable experience on the Roland Garros stage as she continues to try and build her career. That now brings us to the Day 9 women's recap, and Swiatek keeps the dream alive. Maja Swiatek's amazing run continues. She took out home hope Diane Parry 6-3, 6-2, and with that, she's into a Grand Slam quarterfinal. This is a huge leap for her. We're talking about a player who was fighting through W75 Challenger events earlier in the year, just 4 weeks ago. She'd struggled to break into Grand Slam main draws, and now suddenly she finds herself in the final 8 at Roland Garros. She surges away into the top 50 and has risen 65 ranking places throughout this tournament. This is career and life-changing stuff. Swiatek has gone from fighting to make main draws to fighting for a slam semi-final in the blink of an eye. This is the kind of run that will change a career overnight, and maybe, just maybe, she's not done yet. Diana Schneider also into a maiden Grand Slam quarterfinal, and this was a serious win. She took out former Grand Slam champion Madison Keys 6-3, 3-6, 6-love. That third set, obviously what jumps off the page. Keys had worked her way back into the match. The momentum could have turned, but Schneider slammed the door shut with a bagel in the decider. That's not just winning. That is absolutely making a statement in bold, underlined at the top of your voice. Schneider absorbed the Keys' power, reset after the second set loss, and then produced a final set surge that looked like a player ready for the next stage of the quarterfinals and maybe onwards from there. Also heading through to the quarters in the women's was Anna Kalinskaya. This was a bit of an upset in terms of how we previewed it. The 22nd seed getting through. It was a grind against Anastasia Potapova, the 28th seed, in an almost 3-hour thriller. 6-4, 2-6, 7-6, taking the match tiebreak 10-7. Potapova had been one of the form players of the tournament. She'd already eliminated the defending champion Coco Gauff, and she had real momentum rolling. But Kalinskaya held her nerve late. Potapova had the form line, but Kalinskaya had the final answer in that match tiebreak. And in a match that tight, nerve matters as much as your top level. Aryna Sabalenka was the fourth one through in this half of the draw. The world number one was clinical in a physical win over Naomi Osaka, 7-5, 6-3. That's not a soft scoreline against anyone. It's definitely not against someone with the power of Naomi Osaka. She made it uncomfortable at times. She tested Sabalenka on clay recently when they went to 3 sets. And she'd come through a tough path to get here, but Sabalenka handled it. She's now one of only 3 top 10 seeds still standing in the women's draw. And she looks increasingly like the player the rest of the field has to find a solution for. The person next up for solving that problem is Diana Schneider. It's a big ask for the Russian up against the world number one. It'll be interesting to see. Osaka asked physical questions of the world number one here, but she answered with authority. And right now she looks like a heavyweight standing in a field full of chaos. We move on to the Day 9 men's recap, and it was an Italian party overnight in Paris. 3 Italian men booking their quarterfinal berths in the top half, and that's considering that Sinner and Darderi are gone. You might have thought the Italian story might fade. Instead, Flavio Cobolli leads the charge as Matteo Berrettini and Arnaldi have turned it into one of the biggest national storylines of the tournament. Let's start with Matteo Berrettini. He was absolutely the headline. He backed up his 5-set epic and took out Juan Manuel Cerundolo in straight sets. The dream run for Cerundolo comes to an end. He'd been the man who knocked out Jannik Sinner, so it was a return of Italian pride for Berrettini. 6-3, 7-6, 7-6. Berrettini brought experience, serve, and enough control in the key moments. 2 tiebreaks, 2 chances for the match to get messy, and Berrettini handled them both. Cerundolo had the giant killer aura, but Berrettini had the bigger stage calm, and the Italian pride fight back is very much alive. The Italian 10th seed Flavio Cobolli joins his countryman Berrettini in the quarterfinals. He overcame a 3rd set hiccup to eliminate Zachary Svitolina 6-2, 6-3, 6-7, 7-6. A little over 3 hours to start the day on Philippe Chatrier. First 2 sets were clean. The third got away from him a touch, but importantly, Cobolli did not let it become a full-blown problem. He steadied, closed it in the 4th, and moves into just his 2nd Grand Slam quarterfinals. But again, I've talked about this. I think he is absolutely one to watch. Cobolli looked like the natural clay courter early, got tested late, but still found the finish. Exactly what you need when the draw is opening up in front of you. Really looking forward to seeing his quarterfinal. Later on, we'll touch on that. The third Italian through was Matteo Arnaldi, and he had to earn every bit of it. Arnaldi eliminated Francis Tiafoe, the 19th seed American, in a grinding 5-set arm wrestle that took nearly 5.5 hours. 7-6, 6-7, 3-6, 7-6, 7-4. He came back from 2 sets to 1 down. He forced the match into the final set, and then he sealed it. That's a career best slam performance, and it sets up an all-Italian quarterfinal. Guarantees Italy at least 1 men's semi-finalist at this year's French Open, and one of them is going to be called Matteo because it's Berrettini versus Arnaldi for a spot in the semis. Arnaldi stopped being a nice story and now is a serious run. Nearly 5.5 hours, another comeback, and now an all-Italian quarterfinal awaits. The question, how much toll has all this tennis taken from his legs? And the final quarterfinal berth of the day went to Felix Auger-Aliassime, and this was convincing. The 4th seed eliminating Alejandro Tobio 6-3, 7-5, 6-1. That win books FAA's first French Open quarterfinal after previous 4th-round exits here in 2022 and 2024. And crucially, he keeps himself much fresher than his quarterfinal opponent, Flavio Cobolli. Cobolli had some extra work. FAA was clean. This stage of the tournament, that matters. The first quarterfinal slate will feature plenty of matchups. We're looking forward to this. We're going to have a big day tomorrow and then into the next day after that as well, as the quarterfinals are stretched out over 2 days. FAA did not just win this. He protected the legs, and with a wide-open title race, freshness might just become one of the biggest weapons to hold in your arsenal. Speaking of quarterfinals, we head to day 10 and the first day of quarterfinals. And these are big, not just because they're quarterfinals, because every one of these matches has a big storyline attached. Let's start with the women's quarterfinals. This is future versus farewell. Mira Andreeva, the Russian young gun, continues to look like she belongs deep in majors. Sorana Cirstea at 36 is on this remarkable final season surge. She continues to take herself to higher and higher levels, and she's going to finish this tournament likely at a career-high ranking. Surveyor's already delivered one of the stories of the tournament, a double bagel in round 3. The oldest player in the Open era to win a Grand Slam match by that scoreline. The first Roland Garros quarterfinal for her since 2009. That's 17 years ago. And she's doing it in the twilight of her career. Andreeva, on the other hand, has been clean, composed, and increasingly convincing. Andreeva looks the pick here, but again, Cirstea's late career charge, it's hard to underestimate her. Andreeva's path has been steadier. She's looked like the player with more gears, and her emotions have been in check. Cirstea's path has been more emotional, more story-driven, the narrative powered by belief. The key question is whether Cirstea can turn this into a physical first-strike contest before Andreeva settles into her rhythm. Andreeva is going to want her clean patterns, her defensive elasticity, and backhand stability. She's going to need to stretch Cirstea laterally and make the veteran play extra balls and move. Cirstea wants first shot power, short points, heavy hitting through the middle, and to make Andreeva feel not only the weight of the occasion, but the weight of her shot. If Andreeva stays calm, she could have too much. But if Cirstea gets ahead and starts fast, the fairy tale feeling could carry her across the line. I'm going Andreeva to win this one in 2. Cirstea is trying to stretch the farewell story for one more round, but Andreeva looks like the young player who does not get spooked by someone else's narrative and might put a full stop on this French Open journey of the veteran. The second of the women's quarterfinals tomorrow will be Elina Svitolina versus Marta Kostyuk. This is historic, an all-Ukrainian quarterfinal at Roland Garros. The winner will become the first Ukrainian woman to reach a French Open semi-final and the first Ukrainian to reach any men's or women's semi-final in Paris since Andrei Medvedev 27 years ago in 1999. This is bigger than tennis. Svitolina and Kostyuk, they're 1-1 in their head-to-head, with Kostyuk winning their most recent meeting in Toronto last year. The emotion around this clash is going to be significant. It's going to be about how they ride that wave, but also handle it without letting it boil over. Both of these players will have the opportunity to represent their country on one of the biggest stages in world tennis, not just in this clash, but also in the ensuing semi-final. Svitolina's had the better clay swing. She came in with real form. She's had to fight, and she looks increasingly composed. Kostyuk, not far behind. She's built through the draw and then delivered that statement win over Iga Swiatek. That will give her belief, but also pressure and expectation. Because now she has to back up her biggest win of the tournament against the highest-ranked woman from her own country. How that plays out is up to anyone's determination, anyone's guess. Svitolina's going to want physical rallies and depth, defensive pressure. Kostyuk's going to want first strike aggression, forehand acceleration. She's going to come out swinging. She will not want to let Svitolina get her into the grind. If Kostyuk serves well and lands early, she can absolutely get on top. But Svitolina's experience and clay form give her the edge. I think Svitolina takes this in 3. I wouldn't be surprised if Kostyuk comes out of the gates blowing hard and just trying to nail this down and maybe runs out of fuel late. It's history either way, but it becomes a long, emotional, physical battle. Svitolina feels like the better player in position for the final question. Then the men's quarterfinals. You want to talk about the two ends of the spectrum of experience versus inexperience. Well, Alexander Zverev versus Rafael Jodar is exactly that. This is a massive moment for Alexander Zverev. This French Open screams, if not now, when does Zverev claim himself a maiden Grand Slam title? He's the highest seed left. He's an almost even money favourite to win the tournament. And this draw has opened up in ways that nobody could have predicted, even once we knew that Carlos Alcaraz was going to be absent. But surrounding him in this half is the next generation. 3 players either side of the 20 mark, 19, 19 and 20. And first up is 19-year-old Rafael Jodar. The 19-year-old Spaniard has reached the quarterfinals on his Roland Garros main draw debut, a rare achievement that puts him in elite company. Jodar's rise is going to be interesting. Can Zverev pack up the cautious approach and push forward as the favourite to take on Jodar? Zverev has had the cleaner path. He's handled Jesper de Jong in straight sets. He looks increasingly like a player settling into the role of favourite. Jodar's path, more dramatic. A couple of back-to-back 5-set wins where he's come back from 2 sets down, including his last one against Pablo Carreno Busta. Not only came flying back, but did it with an emphasis. 6-1, 6-2, 6-2. He doesn't panic. He's happy to have his back against the wall and have to scramble and scrabble and get himself out. Zverev's going to want big first serves, backhand control, and to bully cross-court patterns, and to make the feel much more predictable of this match. For Jodar, he wants to use the clay court energy. He wants to get the crowd involved. Heavy forehands. He'll look for a fast start to turn this into a young player charge. It'll be interesting to see how much fuel he has in his legs despite his youth. The danger for Zverev is pressure. He's no longer chasing. He is the one being chased, and Jodar is fearless enough to swing freely. Zverev should win this one, but Jodar has nothing to lose, and that makes it epically dangerous. Because the favourite now carries the weight of the tournament on his shoulders. I think he's going to have a few stumbles, but he'll get there in the end. I've got Alexander Zverev taking this one in 5. And the final match of the day that we're going to talk about here is the second of the men's quarterfinals. Jakub Mensik, the 26th seed, up against João Fonseca, the 28th. This will be the night match on Philippe Chatrier, and it's pure tennis theatre of the future generation. A 20-year-old against a 19-year-old. One of them guaranteed to be a first-time Grand Slam semi-finalist. Fonseca chasing her first top 20 ranking. Mensik looking to surge back into the world's top 16, which will be absolutely crucial as we head towards the Wimbledon seedings. This is an interesting matchup for these two as to how they go toe-to-toe. Both young stars, both full of energy, full of vim and vigour, both have had to come back at different points in this tournament. Mensik's shown toughness. He beat Alex de Minaur after dropping the first set 6-love, then outlasted Andrei Rublev after the Russian forced him to a 5th. Fonseca's had the more dramatic run. Back-to-back 5-set comebacks, including beating a 2-time finalist Casper Ruud in 4 off the back of those. And of course, the Djokovic win still hangs over the tournament. Mensik wants big serve, first strike tennis, shorter points to use his size and weight of shot. Fonseca's going to want to use his explosion from the baseline, emotional momentum, and forehand firepower to make the match feel fast and fearless. The question is who handles the occasion the best. This is not a third round. This is a slam quarterfinal under lights on Philippe Chatrier with history waiting. This is the kind of match where you feel the sport moving forward in real time. Mensik and Fonseca are not waiting for their time to come. They are trying to grab it with both hands and wrest it free as a semi-final berth here in Roland Garros. I've got João Fonseca taking it in 4, but I think this is going to be an enthralling clash. It's a huge day of tennis. It's the pointy end of the tournament, and we cannot wait. Day 9 is done. Trulinska's fairy tale is now a quarterfinal. Schneider has arrived. Kalinskaya survived a thriller, and Sabalenka looks every bit the favourite, while the Italian men have turned the top half into a full-blown national celebration. Now the quarterfinals begin, and the stakes are enormous. Andreeva, Cirstea, Svitolina, Kostyuk all looking for their chance. The young generation of Fonseca, Jodar and Mensik trying to surround and sweep out Alexander Zverev, the highest-ranked man left in the men's draw. It's getting heavy in Paris. The draws open, rankings are shifting, careers are changing. And now every match is not just about survival, it is now about your legacy and your run. If you're riding through the French Open with us, make sure to hit like on the video, hit subscribe on the channel, and let us know who wins your quarterfinals tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow with the first semi-finalists locked in. For now, day 9 is done. The quarterfinals are here, and a huge thank you to you for tuning in.